Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. And today we're going to be having a look at a brief look at our upcoming changes to the check and cancel service, which is a self-serve option for patients. So we're going to have a very quick introduction there to the new version of check and cancel, which will be available through Xflow for EMIS users initially, and that will give you control of where check and cancel is then presented within your call flow. We'll have a look at creating the API user that you will need in EMIS in order for this system to work, and we'll also have a look at the Xflow icons that you'll see once check and cancel has been activated on your service. So check and cancel is a self-serve option for patients, and from our market research, we found that 7% of calls through to appointments teams are actually just to check appointments that patients have booked already, and 3% are just to cancel their appointments. So if we can make that a self-serve option, it means that they can check their upcoming appointments, they can cancel appointments, and you can turn that on or off within the system, so they can just check or they can check and cancel. And that will hopefully reduce some calls into the reception team, allowing them to spend more time dealing with other queries and reducing the call into the practice. You can allow check and cancel options for specific appointments. So if you've got flu clinics coming up, then you can even set up a dedicated number with the check and cancel option on that is fully automated, where they can then check and cancel any appointments they've got through that particular list. In order for check and cancel to work automatically, there needs to be an API user created in EMIS. Now, this is something that you may have there already for other API partners that you use with EMIS. Once the API user has been created in EMIS, it will also need to be added to your service delivery console. And with check and cancel activated, there will be a new section that will be the advanced section in the service delivery console. So you'll have a new link up at the top of your service delivery console that will say advanced. In there, you'll be able to add on the API user, just like you would add a new user onto the system. The only slight difference with this one is you need to include the API username and password that you've set within EMIS when you created that API user. And it's best in EMIS to set that never changes the password, so that you don't then have to update these details in the future. Once you've added the user, it will appear in a table, and you'll need to validate that, which will then check. An API is the associated partner products that can work alongside EMIS. So it gives us the connection to EMIS under this user ID so that the appointment lists can then be checked. Initially, it will just be for EMIS surgeries. However, we are working with System 1 as well, but that is a little bit further down the line. Once you've validated your API user, it will have checked the username and password and made sure everything is validated. You'll then need to add that into the start block that you want the check and cancel added into. So that may well be your main call flow start block. And in the start block, you'll have a new section there for integrations, where you can then allocate the API user that you've saved within the service delivery console. That will then link that API user to your call flow and allow the patients then to check their appointments remotely without the need to speak to a receptionist. Within your call flow, you will also see 3 new icons. Now, there's only a couple that we'll need to use initially. So our first one is the patient identifier, and that will automatically identify the patient as they're going through the check and cancel call flow. We have a patient known icon and also the check and cancel block itself. So within the patient identifier, there'll be very little that you'll need to change within the call flow once it's been added in there. The only thing that you'll need to check really is that the prompt voice is the same as the rest of your call flow, so it doesn't switch voices halfway through there. It will identify the patient using their telephone number, so the number that they ring into. It will then also use the patient's date of birth. So it will ask them to input their date of birth in a 6-digit format and explain how to do that for them. And then once the patient has been identified, they can then move through the call flow. So here we've got an example of the text that we will use in that identification. So it will explain to the patient how to input their date of birth there, and it's set up to already deal with the year 2000s there as well. So anybody born after 2000 can still use that 6-digit format. The patient known block we have created ready for future enhancements. So it will save those details for that particular patient then. And once they've checked their appointment, they can also go on and will be able to book appointments as well. So if they're then going on to book an appointment, rather than having to go through that whole patient identification again, they'll be able to do it directly through the system because they'll already be identified there. Within the check and cancel block, it splits out separately into check and cancel. So as usual, you can rename the blocks just so that you can see exactly what's going on in the call flow. And on the check block, on the tab, you'll be able to set the appointment timescales. So how far into the future the patients can actually search those appointment lists. You can also turn off or on automatic texts so that you can send out a text message to the patient if they're on their mobile phone with the details of the appointment there. You can also specify the appointments slots that need to be checked there, and you can add and remove different lists to the individual boxes there. Within the cancel option in the tab here, again, you can turn on or off cancelling, which means that the cancellation part is optional, and you can just have it set up so that the patients can check what appointments they have coming up, but can't cancel them over the automated system. However, if you allow that cancellation, again, we can send the patient a text to confirm that appointment has been cancelled, and we can also send an email to any of the users on the system to notify them that that appointment has been cancelled. So you can add in a central email address there that would then mean that the appointment cancellation is sent through to the practice as well. This would be the notification that you would receive within the practice. So it comes via email, much like our voicemail messages do, and it will give you the details of the patient and the appointment then that they have cancelled there. So once it's added into your call flow, this is how it will look. So we'll be swapping the welcome prompt within call flows to a welcome menu so that you can even offer check and cancel when the surgery is closed. And if you are closed, they can press 1 and go through the automated check and cancel. Obviously, if you are open, you can also add it into any main menu that you have, maybe under an appointments option, where you can then give them the automated option rather than having to wait to speak to one of the reception team to deal with that appointments query, thereby reducing the number of calls actually into the reception team themselves. Now we're looking to have this live, hopefully by the end of September. It will go into trial in August. So as long as everything goes smoothly, we'll be aiming to release that, and then you'll be able to request the upgrade through the support team so that we can get that activated on the system there. As usual, there will be step-by-step how-to guides, and we'll probably have another webinar nearer the time as well, just to let you know how to add that onto the system and what changes you will need to make. So in summary, our market research has shown that 7% of calls into the appointments team are for checking appointments and 3% there to cancel them. We can link via the API to allow real-time connection to the clinical integration, which means the patients then can also use this service when the surgery is closed. It's a simple Xflow configuration, and all you need to do is specify the appointment types then that can be checked and cancelled. If you're checking the monthly newsletter, you'll have updates on when this will be available, or you could join our Facebook group for any updates regarding the go live for this particular feature and our future enhancements there. So we've had a question saying, is the appointment immediately cancelled in EMIS? So yes, it would cancel that appointment and then free up that slot so it can be used by another patient. If you'd like to sign up for the newsletter, if you want to email products@exon.co.uk, and then they can make sure that you are added onto the newsletter for your particular practice there. So how will this be implemented with surgery having an out-of-hours service? Will the call flow kick in before opting out for the out-of-hours number? So yes, it would normally be added right at the beginning of the call flow, so on your welcome prompt, so before any options then in the main menu, so that it can go through the call flow as an automated service. If the patient holds, we can have it linking back to the calendar then, so it can then give the out-of-hours message and transfer the call to any out-of-hours number as it would do normally there. And there is no additional cost for this feature. So we'll be able to include that to any EMIS users as soon as it's live. We'll just need to upgrade the system slightly to give you the additional access there through Xflow and through the service delivery console. The SMS 1.99 pence per text, however, thinking about the time that's saved by the reception team having to answer those particular queries, much better to send a 2p text to confirm that that appointment's been cancelled or to check their details rather than them having to wait and speak to a receptionist there. Got a question about how close to the appointment time can the appointment be cancelled? Obviously, cancellation is optional, so you can turn that on or off on the system. Not aware that there's any limit up to the time that it can be cancelled, but I will check that and we will let you know in that we send out with a copy of this recording as well. So you can create different call flows for the different options there. You could have check and cancel for some and just check for others. There will be an audit trail in the background, absolutely. Samantha, with different sites, that's going to depend on how it's built. If your appointment lists are per site, then it will name the appointment list. So yes, you'll be able to see which site it's from. If they're all together in one appointment block, then it will just tell them the name of the appointments that it's cancelled there. If they have multiple appointments, when it does check, it will give them a list of the appointments that they have, and it will do up to 100 appointments there for you as well per patient. But hopefully in a 90-day period, they're not having more than 100 appointments there. Yes, they'll be able to select which appointment it is that they want to cancel. So thank you so much for your time this morning, and we'll see you in next month's webinar.